Now, Josh was a bouncer at Respectables on Clematis, and for a bouncer, he wasn't that big and was just as short as me, but he showed me something once about being smarter than the other guy that I respect and admire, even though I can't do it myself and probably wouldn't even if I could. Josh had really long blonde hair, and I always forgot about it because he wore it in a ponytail and never took off his black baseball cap, and the sides of his head were shaved bald. He had one of those goatees minus the mustache too, and a big old nose ring like the bull had that time Bugs Bunny went to Mexico. Or was it Daffy? It was that nose ring that kept the two of us from getting in a brawl up in Dr. Feelgood's one night with a big surly jackass who was running his mouth to his big jackass friends. See, my problem is I'd been small and bullied all my life until I started going to the gym and drinking shakes and popping pills, and I have maybe got a teeny tiny chip on my shoulder about it. And I look pretty good and have a bit of a swagger that people mistake for arrogance that's really because of a hip injury years ago, or maybe it's part arrogance, part injury, or maybe I made up that injury years ago as an excuse to walk with a swagger. I don't really remember, it's been so long. Either way. So some people, usually in bars, decide I'm the guy that's to blame for whatever their problems are that night. So I'm standing there minding my own business with Josh and his nose ring, while Cochise over there to my right is talking about how pissed off he is to the other 6 people in the group. 3 huge men and their wenches. And blah blah blah, I'm fixing to go off, man. I just want to fuck somebody up, like these 2 faggots over here. And all 7 faces turned towards me and Josh. Now, Feelgood's is a club, and music was blaring, but I learned how to read lips a long time ago, and no matter how many times my mom said I'm just paranoid and I can't read lips, and I just made that up about what that guy over there just said, I can read lips just fine, thank you, and yes, he called me a faggot while I was reading his lips, reflected in the bisected mirror back shelves behind the bar. That's not the problem. People say I'm gay all the time, because I'm better looking than them and dress well. I've had time to get over it. The problem was I'm just minding my own business when this wannabe alpha male wants to put down on me and ruin my night. Did you hear that? I asked Josh, with my voice sounding maybe a little too eager. Yep, he said wearily. So, I wasn't mistaken. Since I wasn't watching them, I couldn't make out what the other guy was saying, but he was getting a little louder, as if in the hopes that we might hear. Josh turned his head ever so slightly in that direction and cut his half-closed eyes at him while pushing away from the bar. I must have changed my posture somehow because he said, "No, hold on. Watch this." He turned to give them all a good view, but not a challenging one, while he handed me his drink and started unscrewing his nose ring. "He's taking out his nose ring," said the jackass to his buddies. "Oh shit, he's taking out his nose ring. He's taking his nose ring out." Like they needed the play-by-play. "I'm going to stand over here." All of a sudden, his rage at whatever had drained out of him, and he was chickening out, and in front of 3 women, no less. He went around his buddies to put them in between us. I couldn't believe it. It took a minute for Josh to get the ball undone, slide the ring out of the huge hole in his septum, and pocket it. Then, "Don't move, I'll be right back." I watched him walk over to those Neanderthals and their wenches, push his way through them, put his chest up against the jackass's belly, and hold the back of his hand up in between their faces. "Hi, I'm Josh and I work here. You having a good time?" The huge guy's eyes widened and flickered from fear to relief, and he grabbed Josh's hand and squeezed it. Yeah, we're having a great time." Meanwhile, one of the friends, the biggest one, was glaring at me like I'd run over his dog. The rest of them were looking at Josh, but Gigantor was trying his damnedest to stare me down. Like kids on a playground. I just stared back at him, unblinking with the hint of a smile, while Josh and Cochise, or whatever his name was, became the best of friends. Josh let go of the asshat's hand and slapped him hard on the shoulder, told him it was great to meet him, and came back over to where I stood stupidly holding 2 drinks. The other guys were quiet for a second until the loudmouth said awkwardly, "Let's go over that way." And away they went, the big bad motherfuckers who take shit from nobody and their wenches. I could not stop laughing. While putting his nose ring back in, Josh quoted me a line from The Godfather. The book, not the movie. "There are men in this world who go about demanding to be killed. They argue in gambling games. They jump out of their car in a rage if someone so much as scratches their fender. They wander the streets calling out, "Kill me! Kill me!" "Yeah, I know. And that guy's one of them," I said, sneering and watching them watch me from afar. "No, you are." "What?" But he was drinking his Drac and Coke and he couldn't elaborate. Now, reason I think why this worked, same as this time I was in college and I had a mohawk. I'd just gotten 2 flat tires driving down the side street in the middle of the night and had walked to the corner of the nearest more beaten path to wait for a tow truck driver. I was wearing a baseball cap backwards, sitting on the sidewalk and leaning against a lamppost when this car full of assholes pulled up to the light next to me. I guess I had a sign on that said, "Fuck with me." "Hey man," one guy calls, "you got a cigarette?" "Nah," I said. "I was hoping you'd have one." Now keep in mind I was 110 pounds soaking wet, skinny as a rail. He muttered something I couldn't hear, and one of the girls in the car said, "Careful, he'll hear you." Psh, I don't give a shit if he does. I'll kick his ass. So, like anyone would, I bolted to my feet, whipping off my hat, and ran at the car. It was exhilarating the way they all screamed and squealed their tires, running the red light and disappearing down the road. Grossly outnumbered, I chased them off with only a bad haircut. It's like those nature shows where you see a small fish or an insect with patterns on them that look like great big fish eyes. A huge predator comes along and the little guy flashes those eye spots at the big one, making him go, in this quick, unthinking, panic-inducing moment, "Oh shit, this thing is way bigger than I thought," and they book. Just like that, I think. People aren't so quick to fight some little dude with a big-ass ring in his nose or a bad haircut, because he must have something up his sleeve, because it takes a different kind of guts to weather the disapproving stares of everyone else you meet day in, day out, everywhere you go.